Hello, my name is Alan, and today I'm facilitating the fourth of 5 sessions of Eotenweard. This is my PBTA game in development of Dark Age heroes protecting the innocent from the supernatural in the shadow of their jealous and fickle gods. And we began to see some of that last time. So this is a game set around 600 and some odd AD. It's after the Romans, before the Vikings, but something like The Last Kingdom or Vikings is still a reasonable touchstone in terms of look and feel. Quite a lot happened last time. We have a returning character who wasn't with us last time, but we'll deal with reintegrating Hild in a moment. But in the first instance, I always forget, this game was organized as part of the Gauntlet RPG community's monthly calendar. Do please come and look at Gauntlet. Look for that sign on the internet, and if it has Tyler behind it, then that is some kind of site. But yes, do search Gauntlet RPG and come find us. And if you'd like to play with us in the near future, there is the Gauntlet Community Open Gaming Weekend on the 24th to 28th, I think, of February. But you'll find the details on the site. My pronouns are he, him. Let us go to our players, and let's go in reverse character keeper order just for fun. So Tyler, say hello and tell us a little something about Gildas the Fae Changeling.
Hi there, I'm Tyler, he, him pronouns, and I'm playing Gildas, who also has he, him pronouns, who is indeed the Fae Changeling. By that, he has been sent to the mortal world by his Fae Lord, probably in exchange for a mortal, and has grown up here in our real world, but still has deep ties back to the realm of Fae. He is a pagan of the old pagans, of the druids, and we've seen kind of has a chip on his shoulder against the 3-in-1 Christian God, perhaps because, of course, the Christian view is that all the other gods are actually demons, as is all of his people, the Fae. So maybe it's a reasonable chip. And we've seen that he's done a little shape-shifting here and there. He's fascinated some folks with his great looks and Fae-ish abilities, and has talked to a few ghosts.
And seduced the wife of a lord.
And did do that.
Not to ignore that possibility. I noticed that you've taken an advance in the shape of a Fae move magical attack.
Yes,
I will be asking for you to specify some of that the first time you put it into action.
Alrighty.
Okay, moving along. Will, say hello and tell us something about Cennus, the Sword of God.
Hi. Well, Cennus, the Sword of God, was pulled about by the chain of his faith massively last session, as he discovered that the bandits that God told him to kill, and he refused because he could not strike an unarmed, surrendered foe, turned out to be a group of vile bandits who had murdered a family nearby, and when God told him that he'd missed his chance, Cennus wouldn't let that go either, and challenged them to trial by combat in front of all of the settlements, and finally atoned for his own sins, and is now, I imagine, covered in blood, basically, but as it always was.
And significantly still in debt to God. And still succumbing to the temptation of wrath, I think. So Cennus is all wound up. Let's see where that takes us today. Greg, come to you. I'll come to Greg last, I think, because then I can go straight into the letter. Sawyer, say hello and tell us about Eadric.
Hello, I am Sawyer. I also go by Ferret Online. I use any pronoun, so that's easy. And Eadric is the Commoner, and last session turned out to be bringing a bit of a Buffy realness to Eotenweard with his past with his wife, and learning how to be of use to the upcoming diplomacy with the Fae, hopefully. And hopefully the chicken did not witness it, because that could scar the poor baby. But otherwise, he is looking forward to putting a spirit to rest and seeing if the supernatural can finally be quieted.
Who knows with this session and the next one to play? Okay, Greg, say hello. You weren't here last time, but tell us a little bit about Hild, and then we'll do the love letter.
Yeah, Hild is she's what, a pagan Saxon? Is that? Yep, she's a pagan Saxon, an outlaw, and she's kind of lived on the fringes of society. Maybe doesn't know how to get along with people, but she's Cennus has kind of looked out for her, and so she had killed um, the wife of the leader of the town under his well was told to kill the wife, was going to go through with it. Maybe she did, maybe she didn't. Probably, convicted for manslaughter at the very least. And so she's kind of dealing with that.
And as part of dealing with that, Woden appeared to her, didn't he? And told her that she had to make this good. And the bit of narrative we came up to explain the fact that Hild wasn't with us last time was that at the end of session 2, or between, in the moments that separated session 2 from session 3, Hild noticed a raven, which is of course the bird that Woden, beg your pardon, sends into the world to keep an eye on mortals and often to give them insights. And when it flew away, Hild took off after it. So if we now look at the love letter tab, it says, "Dear Hild, last session you followed one of Woden's ravens into the wilderness, hoping it would offer you some insight into exactly what he wants from you. Tell us where you have spent the last day and a night before returning to Ethelbur, and roll with the most relevant attribute." So what do you think, Hild, what in our kind of before titles clip where we see Hild in the wilderness, what are we seeing of Hild?
Let's see. So Odin, didn't he hang from a tree or something?
He did.
And did he resurrect? Or so he died?
I think it's unclear whether he died or just suffered.
Okay. Yeah, what I'm thinking is something along the lines that Woden tells Hild that she needs to learn about sacrifice from Jesus. And that yeah, she, there's changes coming. There's spiritual changes coming. And this is what she needs to learn from Jesus. So I'm thinking there was a picture of I mean, I don't you don't want to get too sacrilegious, but we'll say, a mix of Christian and Woden symbolism. Maybe we see a cross with ravens all on it and some form hanging from it.
Is that form Hild? Or did he just show her this?
Yeah. Yes, it's Hild. Yeah.
So Hild has tied herself to a tree.
Yeah.
Yeah. As Odin did, but also as Cennus has told Hild, the way that the Christ God did. I think I'm prepared to reduce the debt you owe to Woden for that. That seems to me to be all about soul.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I agree with that.
I've put a roll with me link in the chat. So pick a color, because we always get a bit of difficulty with roll with me when people move dice about.
Yeah.
Whoa.
All right, let's see. What am I? So many colors. Okay, there we go. Whoa. Okay, now it's. All right. Roll with soul.
So, yeah,
That's just a big 0.
right. So
So yeah,
seventh
ended up getting a 5.
Did you? Have you got minus for soul?
No, 0. I just rolled it, and I have a 1
Oh,
plus
I
4.
see. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh,
I'm
how interesting.
Yeah, I might have rolled it before, but anyway, I didn't know what I was doing. That's my roll. That's a
Well,
5.
it looks like you may seriously have misunderstood what Woden was asking of you,
Okay.
because you get no particular insights to take forward. But on a 6 minus, tell us who is now chasing you and why, and mark XP.
Okay. I think. Let me mark XP. Wait, where's XP? Oh, there it is.
It's
Okay,
about,
bam!
yeah.
I'm ready to level up, but I guess we do that later.
Well,
End of session.
we'll once you tell me who's chasing, you can
Okay.
advance.
Okay.
Take the improvement.
What I'm thinking is, since she had a 6, Hild might be deeply confused, and maybe Woden, that wasn't the message Woden was giving her. And he's trying to get her away from Christianity.
Okay.
Like what I'm thinking is, she sees that, she's like, oh, I must learn from the Christian God. And then Woden is like, who am I dealing with here? And we'll say the Ravens attack her. Just
okay.
there was, just.
Now,
So hopefully this isn't too convoluted, but
no, that works for me. And so
okay,
we see them mobbing Hild.
Yeah.
She drops from the tree and runs. So are you telling me that Woden's ravens are pursuing you? Or
yeah.
is
Yeah.
it's
I'm almost thinking like they're always looking at me. Like anywhere I go, I'm seeing ravens. Like massive paranoia.
There's always a raven.
Yeah. ...
Okay. Which gives you the impression that Woden is paying particular attention to you. Okay, that works for me. So I think that we left it last time at the point when Cennus had seen off, had challenged these brigands, these lordless men, and succeeded. The survivor was beaten from the settlement, and Eadric, later on, we didn't see what Eadric did, but we know that he felled him with a club. And you might want to leave what happened for a moment when it's appropriate. I think it's quite nice to have that hanging. The other bit of loose end that we had was that Gildas did receive from the Lady of Ethelbur, Sidwell, he did receive a bronze mirror. And the reason that was key is that everyone says that Fae can only be harmed by bronze. And while Gildas is armed with bronze weapons, nobody else is. So let's pick up then with, I think probably, Eadric, Gildas, and Cennus, with this surreptitiously obtained bronze mirror, because it was received for services rendered to the Lady of Ethelbur. ... So, Cennus, you've been very keen to get hold of some bronze, and here is Gildas with a bronze mirror, which is basically a dinner plate in bronze.
Yes, yeah. I marvel at my own reflection for a second. Not something that you see when you've not got water usually. And let us take it to. I thank him. Let us take it to the smith.
Yeah, because we have a smith in play, don't we?
Yes.
Mangus, the thoughtful Christian smith.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the conversation, Cennus, that you have with Mangus?
We'd already talked about needing a bronze smith to. I simply provide him with the bronze mirror, and I say, "God has provided, my friend."
What precisely do you want him to make with it?
Oh, I think I want him to bronze my spearhead.
That will be quite hard to do technologically. He can melt it and mold it for you. So he could make a spearhead or an axe head. That would be relatively straightforward.
Spearhead then.
Okay,
so I can just take the spearhead off and put the other spearhead on, right? Like,
is there enough?
They come with a screw fix, don't they? Dark Age spears. So yeah, no, I think that you'll have 2 spears, one of which is bronze.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, because once you start messing about with it, you're just going to weaken it. Eadric, what do we see of you?
Yeah, I think he is here. He has his club, and he just wants to see if there's enough bronze to make just a ring to fix on the club to give it more weight. And
I think probably, yeah. I'm going to say that what the smith can do is to cast some what amounts to bronze nails, and then drill out the head a little bit and just put the. It's soft, so it won't stand up to a lot of punishment, but it will grant you the benefit of a bronzed weapon. Yeah. Okay. And Gildas, what about you? Do you want any part of this, or?
I'm armed sufficiently. I think I will watch, and there's kind of in the end, this isn't going to make a difference. They will still kill you, but at the same time, trying to be encouraging and pleased that at least it will give them the confidence of being armed. That sort of thing, and avoiding any sort of sparks coming off of this thing being made.
And I guess then while we see Cennus and Eadric kind of with the smith having these conversations, Gildas, you're looking around, and what tells Gildas and the audience that Hild is harried, is preoccupied, what do we see, Hild, as you re-enter the settlement?
Asking me or asking Hild?
I'm asking Hild what Gildas and the audience see that demonstrates how Hild is Hild's psychological situation at the moment, perhaps.
Yeah, so I would say people do think there's a lot of ravens. Maybe people don't notice it, but when Hild says the ravens are everywhere, people are like, "Oh, yeah. Huh. Yeah, there are a few out here. That's a good point." And then dismisses it. So she is we'll say she has rope burns on her and pecked from the ravens. So she has these obviously bits of small little cuts on her, and she's just kind of stumbling and wanting to run indoors.
I think that given what you've described to me, I'm going to ask you to mark wounded. Right. And while I remember, Eadric, your wearied is unmarked and your wounded is unmarked because you've had an overnight rest. So Gildas, that is what you see. What's your reaction to what you see?
I've got friend Hild. Are you all right? Have you been amongst the brambles?
I think I've angered Odin. I think I've angered Woden. I've done bad things, but I think I did something bad to him.
What? Why do you think this?
I thought of the Christian God.
No good will come of that.
Cennus, he tricked me. Cennus tricked me.
You've been listening to the preachings of our warrior, then.
I don't know. He tricked me. He told me to I don't know. What did you tell me to do?
I mean, if you weren't Cennus, he's not going to be very pleased with you saying that he's tricked you. He's angry at the moment.
Yeah. So let's see. What did Cennus do? Cennus told me to.
I think Cennus told you about, the importance of penitence and sacrifice and making rights for your wrongs and that kind of thing. And you've maybe taken it in the Hild fashion to be slightly, completely skewed from whatever it was I meant. Yeah.
Right. So basically, Woden said I was being weak, and that he didn't need anyone weak with him.
Well, that is not surprising of the...
And the ravens are everywhere now.
There are quite a few. And you feel that this is because Woden's eye is upon you?
Yes, I killed that woman, and Woden said I had to make it right. And I'm not good at making things right. And I think I made it worse.
Well, Hild, fortunately, you can continue to work to make it right, and hopefully this will placate your god.
Everyone says make it right. What does that mean? Make it right? Do I kill the leader? Do I need to?
Perhaps we wait on...
It was his idea to kill.
Such quick killings, but we have tracked down at least something that may put her to rest. And your help could be invaluable. Perhaps this will placate the Allfather.
Perhaps. But maybe I need to...
We cannot hear you. You have gone very silent, Hill.
Uh-oh. Hello?
I think your connection has... I can't hear him.
Oh, no, I'm hearing you.
Maybe it's me that's going...
Yeah.
It is me. Give me a second.
Perhaps this woman is a Christian, this new wife.
Sorry, my dog pulled my earphones and wire out.
Nice.
My dog ate my homework.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe Woden doesn't like this new wife. The new wife is Christian.
Yes.
This is Woden's town. Maybe I killed the wrong wife.
Let's not kill the new wife. No, I think that
Woden almost killed me. He almost killed me with his ravens.
Let us just say I do not believe the new wife is particularly devout.
And I think then Cennus and Eadric come out of this where the smith is working.
Oh, I would like to have a quick scene with Eadric while we're while we're watching the smith work. I look at Eadric, who was hit with the haft of an axe during the fight, and do you still have any conditions marked, Eadric? You don't, do you? You are completely free of wounds. I'm not healing Hild after that. Anyways, I put my hand on Eadric's shoulder and I said, I saw what you did in the fight, my friend. You should not put yourself in harm's way for me, for a poor sinner like me. But I am in your debt, and I would like to give a debt to Eadric.
By all means. Cennus owes Eadric a debt.
Yes, and I would also like to seek solace in our friendship. As I speak of I apologize for my wrath, I was not angry with you for the words that for you telling me the truth at the farmstead. I was angry with myself for failing the Lord, and angry with the Lord of this land for not protecting his people.
I think depending on how well you roll, that'll decide my reaction.
Okay.
I think that's the way to play it. So roll plus the debts that Eadric owes you.
Oh, is it the other way around? I thought it was I
Yes,
owed.
it is.
Oh, damn it.
Yeah, but no, I owe you 2 debts, so
Okay.
Could be worse.
Well, I wanted to go in. I felt like he tried to help me anyways then. And it feels like the kind of thing that kind of sudden I misread that move though, and I was trying to game it to get an extra +1 from where I was. That is an 8.
So 8 on 7+, clear a temptation.
Okay, I'll clear angry.
On 7 to 9, recognize the wise counsel they have provided and honor their heritage. Owe their god a debt, even if you have not previously honored them. That god may call in the debt you owe just as your own gods can. Eadric, do you want to play out how that falls out then?
I think Eadric is this is like when the hammers are being drilled into the club, and he looks over at Cennus. Your god is harsh. He did not forgive my dear wife, whatever her failings. I believe you, though, will one day find forgiveness in the arms of your god. If not by your own graces, then by the graces of those around you.
I will not. I'm curious. What is Eadric's god?
Well, he's a pagan Saxon, so it's Woden.
At least at the moment.
Well, yeah, I'm just curious if it's an old flame, one might think.
So, owe Woden a debt, the Saxon gods a debt. I don't personalize them a lot. I tend to think of Woden and nothing else. That's an interesting situation that we can play with. Poor old Cennus. There are 2 gods holding his chain now. Okay. I think probably as you're coming out, we'll cut to Aldhelm, the chaste loon, who is hunched over beside the well, and he's staring at Hild as if to say, is there competition in town? Because this is the kind of behavior that defines a loon. So what's the plan? The bronze will be ready in a matter of an hour or so. It won't take long to cool down. He'll put an edge on it as best he can. What's the plan? Gildas, you're our resident Fae, and the suggestion is that there's a Fae up on that ancient hillfort that your lord is unhappy with.
I will. We have like an ale house here, don't we? I know we have an ale wife.
We have an ale wife, and she will serve you. She has a lean-to at the back of her cottage with some stools.
Then I suppose we'll go there and try and find somewhere a little. There's been a lot of excitement. Maybe people aren't as around here. Maybe they're more of the festival, but as private as we can get. My friends. Hild, as you see, our comrades have armed themselves with bronze because we encountered my lord in the standing stones. Unfortunately, the trinket we were to recover, the relic, is no longer there. He has taken it into his own realm and will only return it to us in exchange for something he sees of equal value. As it turns out, his estranged wife resides at that hillfort, or at least has an entrance to her realm in that hillfort. And it would seem that your friend, the first wife, was a devotee, a follower of this Fae Lady. And that is why she has been bound here. It is she, this Fae, that is the one whom her penitence to bring the relic back to has bound her here. We have potential to retrieve it from my lord if we bring him. He wanted her hand, some piece of her. I will say that is difficult, and more than likely, if we were able to take her hand, we could probably get her to agree to just simply release the spirit rather than losing her hand. I imagine she's probably more fond of her hand than whatever this trinket is. That's not entirely certain, though. Fae are, well, we can be somewhat mercurial.
I really don't get all this interpersonal drama. I mean, Mildoina and I never had this kind of argument when we were married.
I must say that you must have been quite blessed, or whatever the opposite would be.
Was that until you discovered she was a fallen angel?
I have made some preparations that may perhaps help us. There will be a child born to the new wife of the lord of this village.
Didn't we suggest that because your success was so remarkable, we could have twins?
Oh, yes.
I thought it was a joke myself.
I'm prepared to go with twins.
Perhaps more than one in this particular blessed pregnancy.
There is no honor in this in Aethelberth.
How puissant is your prowess, if you know this? Eadric says it's a bit worriedly.
I would think that if anyone amongst us would know, it would be you.
Yep, does not assuage the worry at all.
Let us say I am certain that this will occur, and that she will take the child to the keep to present it, to show it its history.
I had thought this woman a good Christian, or at least a good woman, but I see that few in Aethelberth hold to any rules or laws.
Yeah, the only good Christian is and she mumbles to herself.
Yeah, and Cennus looks at you and thinks of the dead family of Christians that was buried last session. And it's probably a very good thing that you didn't finish that sentence.
I believe that she felt having a child was worth a risk, and the lord of this village has never produced one. I do not think at his advanced age he was likely to now.
I care not for the lords. The Lord has no respect for the bonds of marriage or the duties to his people. I care not what is done against him.
The child will be beholden to two realms.
It has made your life the joy that it is, yes, Gildas? To be torn between the human and the Fae. Good to see that you are passing the family tradition down.
It does not fill me with utter delight, but 'tis better than to be simply mortal.
Aye. Well, we all serve Gildas. And so will your child.
I do not wish to give any comfort to my lord. If we can make this bargain with his ex-wife, and we can release this spirit that is held here, then our duty will be fulfilled. and we may travel on.
Well, let us hope that the lady is an easier prospect than the Lord.
Well, her options may be somewhat limited, considering the arms we bring, our intent. Perhaps this will seem a more pleasant solution to the problem than any other.
Perhaps. Hild, you should clear the raven shit off your cloak before we we leave. They will smell you.
Hey,
They will smell us coming.
she maybe she like grabs your cloak and like
Oh no! If you grab my cloak, I pull you off your feet.
So, relations between Hild and Cennus are fraught. Unless you've got anything else you want to do in the settlement, I'm inclined to cut to you moving to the hillfort that afternoon. Or do you want to leave it until tonight?
Let's probably go at earliest. Would that seem best to everyone?
Oh, I
Okay.
mean, can you even truly know that you'll visit the Fae unless it's in the twilight hours? Is that not perhaps a condition of needing? Yeah, I'm happy to go in the afternoon, metagame wise, but I'd love it to be. I do quite like the idea of it being twilight and dark for framing's sake. Like perhaps that's the only time we can cross into the Fae and be sure of finding our prey.
It must be said that Gankana, Gildas's lord, kind of brought the twilight with him last time.
It's true.
I mean, you've got nothing to lose by trying, have you? Yeah. There's a picture of the haunted ancient hillfort in the Faces and Places tab. And so you make your way up in the afternoon. It's a cold afternoon. There's probably hoarfrost all over this woodland that skirts the hillfort. And what, Hild, as if I didn't know, do you notice?
So there's an entryway to the Fae realm here, right?
Well, that's the supposition that this is
Okay.
the home of Gildas's lord's wife, ex-wife.
Yeah. I what I'm thinking is, right, she sees ravens. But maybe we'll say since she kind of had her little interaction with Cennus, the ravens seem less threatening to her.
Okay, so they're observing, but they don't look like they're going to mob her.
And I would say maybe the ravens are leading us.
Let's have ravens circling the hillfort. Let's leave it as so they may be leading, they may just be hanging about. Fine.
Well, Hild says they're obviously leading us there, but
of course she does.
Yeah.
Of course she does.
Yeah, chicken, taking my entire gig, aren't you?
What do you notice, Eadric, as you make your way up this hillside through this woodland?
I think that like the path we're on is not as overgrown as it could be. Like people have traveled here recently besides us.
Yes, I think that's quite a good one. Gildas, what do you see, hear, smell?
I think that as we approach it, and it's overgrown. Clearly, it's ancient, and there are hardly any of the ruins left there. But still, coming up from the ground, from the dirt, you can see the skeleton of what once was the fort, and on these rocks, you can see like the Celtic circles, the entwined carvings that mark them.
And Cennus, what confirms to you that this place is haunted? Because that's what it is. It's a haunted ancient hillfort.
That it's haunted.
Haunted
The-
by what's an open question, but what gives you this? What gives you and the audience the sense that this is a haunted ancient hill fort?
Oh, the way that the wind sounds like whispers when it blows through the rocks.
Oh, very nice, very nice. I wonder what it's saying. Eadric, the whispers that come through the trees and rocks as you clamber first up over a mound that had ringed this, and then down into the ditch, and then up to another mound, and so on towards the top. What does Woden sound like to you?
Ooh. I think there's this memory of Eadric as this very small child before he's working on the farms or anything, and it's kind of like a Charlie Brown thing. We don't see above the knee, but it just he's imagining Woden sounds like his grandfather.
Fine. And your grandfather, so we get that little flashback, and you look up and it is your grandfather, except he has a bandage covering one eye. And in your grandfather's voice, it says, Eadric, you've done well. Continue to bring the Christian to me.
Of course, I will do as you ask.
And I will therefore reduce one of the debts you owe, because you've agreed to bring the Christian to Woden. Hild, the ravens, whenever there's a break in the trees, there's always a raven circling up there. But it looks like they're keeping their distance. Cennus, what do you hear in the whispers? I wondered if this might be a good time to activate your enemy of God move.
Yeah, why not? Let's put it to use.
At the start of every, it says every settlement, it should say session, I beg your pardon.
Yes, I think we'd verbally said that.
Yeah.
Oof, boxcars.
My goodness me. Maybe the Christ God is listening this week.
Yeah, it would be nice to have some ways of paying back that debt that don't involve horrendous things.
So on a 7+, you hold one, so just mark that hold by ticking that box to say how a vision identifies an enemy of God and gain advantage when you confront them. You don't have to define them ahead of time, it's only when you confront them. And there's no downside to that. They ask nothing of you. No, do a dishonorable thing. So that's as good as it gets.
Okay.
Gildas, you've been here before, so I'm putting you at the sharp end of this in terms of the route to the top, because there are breaks in the ditches and the mounds that form the base of the stockades and walls here. And so you work through a gap in this one, and then around, and then up through another gap, and so on towards the top. What do you hear in the whispers of the winds?
I think as I'm following this path, and part of it has that element of like the ritual procession, especially since as they're following me and I'm following through, and I can hear the whispers that it has been so long since I've heard, that have been heard in this land, of the druids chanting as they would circle the blessing around this place.
So what do you do when a form materializes beside a tree that's growing in one of these ditches between the mounds of the fort?
What does the form look like?
it's indistinct. It's more shadow than solid. But it's almost as though that chanting, that druidic chanting, is coming from it. What do you do?
I speak in the ancient tongue. We come to seek wisdom, to right a wrong. Will you give us your blessing?
And there's a whisper, it says, I withhold my blessing until you match actions to your words. And the shadow, and it maybe it was just, a cloud parted, some sunlight in this winter's day came through, and the bare boughs of the trees around you, maybe that just cast a shadow. Because now you're at the top of the hill fort, this large, pretty flat area, with, again, as you see in the picture, there's quite a big clump of trees up there. So what happens next? Eadric, what do we see of you at this point?
If I can, real quick, after I hear that, though, I will look back to my companions. Be on your guard. There will be tests in this place.
Dum, dum, dum. So, Eadric, what do we see of you?
So there's a figure coming up in the shadows, and I think I'm a commoner. I hate to play the character, but I think he's going to step forward and try and make a buffer between the others and himself by, he had been... we are seeking an audience with the mistress of this fort, or this place. May we have access to her, please?
That sounds like, I think that's probably facing a bit of danger. Or are you trying to activate one of your moves? I wasn't certain.
Nope, I'm facing danger.
Fine. And given the way you've come at that sounded like a quite polite approach. So that sounds like subtle to me, but I'm prepared to be convinced otherwise.
Nope, I am fine with that too. That is an 8.
That's all right then. There is a rustling in the trees. Most of the leaves are gone. There may be the odd kind of evergreen up here, but for the most part, it's the kind of rustle and crack of bare winter boughs and branches. And it gets a little darker. So you do it, but the GM chooses one. You suffer harm doing it. It takes longer than you'd hoped. Respite is temporary. The risk, difficult circumstance, or situation you're facing will return. I think that it looks like you're being invited in, but I'm not sure how long that invite is going to be good for. Does that seem fair?
Yeah.
Gildas, what's your reaction when Eadric kind of takes point on this one? What do we see you doing?
There's a little bit of a smile at the bravery of Eadric. I think Gildas appreciates that sort of bravery, I imagine that I've brought my spear to where it's easily maneuverable, and be careful, Eadric. It's pretty much my rank, but I'm proud.
Fine. And I think probably in the way that as you were coming up, the clouds cleared and a beam of light illuminated, cast a shadow. It now looks as though the clouds are gathering above you and it's getting dimmer and dimmer and dimmer. It's one of those, it's that sensation you sometimes get when you know it's going to rain really heavily or maybe even snow. It's the clouds are that leaden and they've covered the sun entirely. And it's almost like you've moved forward several hours in the day. It's got so dark so quickly. And you know that creaking of the trees you heard? You hear it again. And the wood shouldn't be this dense, but it is now so shadowed that you're not quite certain where that noise is coming from. Or you can't see its source. It seems to be on the ground, not up above you, where you'd expect to hear those branches moving in the wind. And then a strange creature emerges from the shadows. It looks like a woman carved of wood, but instead of legs, it has a number of tree roots from the waist down. It gives the impression of a living tree. Hild, what's your reaction?
Yeah, so Hild has never seen anything like this, but she also never had Woden talking to her on a weekly basis either. So she sees this, and I would say she is kind of steels herself up, right? She's like, tells herself, Hild, you can't be freaking out at every weird thing you see. You know, you got Woden's attention. You're gonna have to grow up a little bit. So she sees this. Is this out in the right in front of us, or
this is probably 30 paces away?
Okay. She sees that, thinking I think she has an interest just to sneak off to the side, right? That's her
Just melt.
Yeah, I'm looking. I don't really have a playbook for that. I guess I have thief and slippery, but they're not necessarily.
No, I think you need to be. I mean, it is possible for you to with slippery. The intention is that you could stimulate a chase if you chose to run.
Run from a threat. I see. Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say, yeah. So I think what she's going to do is she's going to just
drift.
Yeah, meld into the, whether that's a good idea or not. But she'll.
Okay, that sounds.
I think we did this the last battle she was in as well. I think she drifted off. So.
I think then this is probably face danger.
All right.
And it sounds to me like this is using her physical capacity to drift off.
Yeah.
So I think it's steel rather than anything else, unless you're going with soul and just praying it works.
Nope. Yeah, steel works. 11 plus 1, 12.
Wow. So on 7 plus, you do it. On 12 plus, say how you impress those watching and gain advantage on your next move. Well, I think the whole point is that you don't want to impress people.
They don't even know I'm gone.
They don't even know you're gone.
That's how I impress them.
Nobody notices.
Cennus is saying, oh, sorry, go on.
Well, in the sense of what the audience sees is they just don't see Hild on screen.
Yeah.
But we assume that she's there. Yeah? Okay. Cennus, what about you?
There is a woman made out of wood approaching us.
That is certainly the impression that you have gained, yeah. Her arms are covered in thorns and her fingers are long, thorny. Is claw to... Claws.
I look about me.
Okay. Roll plus sense.
Plus steel with my
wily. You've got wily.
It's only a 6, though. I will take that, miss.
You're on a roll. So mark experience.
You don't want me to help?
I kind of want the experience. If I get one more experience, I can level up.
Completely understand.
Such a min-maxer.
Listen.
Typical
I
Christian. Just always
falling on my own sword.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, it's for my own good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will keep that hard or soft move on the shelf for this moment, if I may.
Mm-hmm.
Gildas, what about you?
Do I recognize anything about what this creature is?
You will recognize them as it is someone, inverted commas, in their Fae form.
I don't know if this is the lady herself or some creature of it. I suppose, God, I'm so bad at it. I want to probably figure out what it is.
Look about you?
Yeah, I'm going to be horrible at this, but maybe I'll get some XP. Let's see. I will get some XP. That's a 2.
Oh, wow. This gets better and better. So both Cennus and Gildas are at the moment kind of transfixed by this. They're trying to work it out. Eadric, that kind of leaves you. What are you going to do? Because this appears to have come at your summons, it must be said.
Yeah, Eadric, I think, sees his 2 friends kind of spacing out, and his frenemy nowhere to be seen. And he will step forward, bow low. I think like prostrate himself before this figure.
Okay. And with what intention? What are you hoping is going to happen?
My lady, we come with a... I'm hoping to escape its wrath, that I will get it to think I am... I hope I'm performing the etiquette properly to not anger a Fae.
Yeah, and the harsh reality of the game system is that normally you would do as you ask, wouldn't you? You'd ask them to be nice to you, in effect. But that doesn't work on other PCs or supernaturals. So you are you're just hoping this is going to go well. And I think that on the basis of your previous subtle, it does nothing. It seems to be waiting. Hild, you see this, and this is the first time the audience realizes when we get it. We kind of swing the camera around, and we see Eadric approaching it and saying these things. We see Cennus and Gildas kind of, quizzically looking at one another and what the fuck is it? And then we realize you're not there, and we cut to your point of view, which is from behind that tree over there, looking at this. Hild, what do you want to do?
And this thing seems to be waiting.
It seems to be, it's because it's gone very still.
Okay. Hild is, Woden is always on her mind. And so is there I guess she's going to look about and look for anything that might please Woden, or like the doorway. Ideally, there's a doorway to this area or this woman, right?
It would be nice if there was, but she just appears to be just sitting in this woodland like you.
Yeah, so I think Hild is thinking, I've gotten around this thing. She's just waiting. I gotten around her. What's next?
So do you want to make your way past her, literally?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Totally.
You've got advantage to do that. You're not trying to entice her to follow you, are you?
No.
So we're not running. So I think this is again. I keep coming back to face danger, but with advantage.
All right. Oh,
if this goes well, you are behind her. If it goes very badly, she may react.
Well, 6 plus 11 plus, 11 plus, I guess this would be steel. Is that what that is?
Yeah.
12. Super Hild.
So Hild,
You know, being attacked by ravens, best thing that ever happened to her.
So you just just float through this woodland to with not the characters don't notice, this thing doesn't notice, and you still have advantage on your next move. So you are now very well positioned for almost whatever you do next. Cennus.
I wish there was a move to be like, pray to God to find out what he wants you to do in this scene.
Well, that's interesting, isn't it? Because
Yes.
what happens is that God calls in a debt.
Oh, lovely. Yes.
And God says, this is a demon. And we know that God doesn't really talk to you. It's really your subconscious talking to yourself.
Oh, yes,
So,
but I recognize this as an affront against the Lord. Yes. An enemy of God, one might say.
I didn't say that, and you do not have to invoke it.
No, but I
can keep it in your back pocket.
No, yeah, I feel that's part of paying off that debt to God is invoking that,
Okay. So what do you do then with that in mind?
Have you already lowered my debt to God?
I have.
Yes. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, it was 4.
Yeah. I jump forward and stab it. I guess like
confront a foe with violence.
God, so yes, of course.
But on this occasion, using the spear of God, which is bronze, or your iron spear.
Oh, the bronze spear.
Okay, so you attack it with the bronze spear. Let's have you roll to confront a foe. But I have to say that at this point, God is still not particularly pleased with you. So while he has incited you, he's going to call in another debt and force disadvantage on you.
Okay. He's a capricious God, of course, as
He
I've
is.
always said. Yeah. So I'll roll 3, take the lowest 2, and then add all of the stuff I get. Oh, well, I did really well on that roll. I got 9 plus 2 plus 1, 13.
That's 1 in the eye to God.
Hey, now doing his bidding, showing how sharp the sword of God is.
So that's a 12, isn't it?
Yes.
Not bad for disadvantage. So on a 7+, inflict harm as established. So the spear does what?
2.
Okay. And I choose force you to where you suffer disadvantage, wrong foot you and flee, inflict harm on you, or take something other than your life. I think that what happens is that as you stab it, these claw-like rose thorn tendrily fingers on its hand wrap around your shield and pluck it away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then on 10+, you also choose 1 from. So this is you choose 1 from that bullet point. On a 12, you've got another 4 bullets to choose from.
Yes, I do. I have a lot, don't I? There's not much I can think of to take from them other than that. I suppose I could take my shield back, couldn't I, with that? But
you deliberately threw it over there.
Yes, yeah. I'm just wondering about because I'm wondering whether this is the Fae or not, which I don't know yet. If my fury drives the foe from the scene, then we're back at square one. It feels like. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to go with my fury drives the foe from the scene. This blow is struck with the strength of God behind me and guiding my arm, and it hurts them perhaps in a way that they did not expect to be hurt.
I think that's true. And we may well see when you pull the spear away from it, sap leaking from the bark covering its thorax, its chest. Hild, it doesn't so much turn on its heel as its head swivels the other way, and it just, on these strange branch-like legs, it scurries away. It could be towards you if you wanted it to be towards you, or you can keep that advantage for something else.
Yeah, we'll keep the advantage. Yeah.
Okay. Gildas. What do you make of that?
This is almost certainly not the noble lady. She would have seen that. She would have been fought against that more, I feel. So I'm going to move up to Cennus as this thing is retreating. And she sends her minions to dissuade us, to protect this place.
None shall dissuade me from God's path.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, it never does it? Eadric, what about you? Because it looked like your effort to make contact didn't go as
I like
planned.
to imagine like he like bowed really deep, like that's when the spear jutted over him and into the thing. And he hears like Gildas. He looks like he's just full of rage. He's about to scream at Cennus once more. And then Gildas says, like, that's a minion. And he realizes how close he got to a minion, and just, you saved my life.
I just offer you my hand up, the hand that had the shield torn from it. Shake off the straps that are torn and offer you a hand up, Edric, and I say, "'Tis nothing, Edric. You would have done the same."
Of course.
To Hild. There's something at your feet, Hild.
Yeah, I looked down.
It's a fox. What do you do?
Yeah, let's see. Can I do the old wait a second. Well, I guess I want to know, is this a mystical fox or a normal fox, right?
Well,
is this
I think look about you and examine the fox as best you can.
Yeah, okay, I'll
It's
do
very
that.
unusual to find a fox just sitting there looking at you.
Yeah. So that is sense.
That is.
I guess I have the advantage.
You have advantage currently, yes.
All right. Oh, let's see. 2 1s. That's always good. 7 plus 2, so I got a 9.
Oh, well, it could have been worse. So you can ask me one question or agree with the GM a detail to add to the scene that enriches the fiction, or ask me to do so.
Okay. Let's see. Question about. Well, what my proposal is that this fox is looking to help Hild for some reason. Like, follow me. I have something to show you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it looks at you and it takes a few steps away, looks over its shoulder at you, goes another few steps, implying follow me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you tell the others? Because they've probably now noticed that you're not there.
Hild's feeling herself, so no. She's like, once I have something, I'll tell them.
Okay. The perfect commoner move. Go off on your own and something good will happen.
Yeah.
Gildas, if this isn't the lady, Hild has disappeared. What are you going to do, Gildas?
I'm looking about. We've driven this thing away, and when we drove it away, it just kind of, I guess, melted into the undergrowth. Is gone
into the shadows. Yeah, but it did
this...
go that way. You can see which way it went.
It will return to its mistress. We should follow. And again, in a language almost certainly none of you speak, I will. Have we shown our worthiness? Can we have your blessing?
Let me see. Are you activating the sight? I tell you what, why don't you think about that while we take a break? Because I've run a bit outside my hour normal. So shall we be back in our seats at 25 past the hour? Okay, I'll see you then. We're back from our break. And the question I left Gildas with was whether you were looking about yourself in the mortal realm or going to use the sight to look beyond the mortal realm.
Yes, and I think that I think that I'm going to, considering how fraught this place is, I am going to reach to my spearhead and kind of run my hand across it, drawing blood and wounding myself.
And summoning and asking your Fae Lord to empower the sight.
Yeah. Though not getting the debt, I'm going with the wound.
You're going with the blood. That's fine. And yes, we know that when you activate the sight, you begin to see the world in a slightly kind of blurry way, and you see the spirits. And what you see are, this place is awash with spirits. This place, every tree spirit is there, every plant, every rock, every stone. The spirits of the earth are looking up at you. And then they all look over there. And through the wood, Gildas, you will see a wall of shields clanking towards you. But they're not the shields that the kind of shield that Cennus had thrown away. They're kind of oblong, rectangular shields. And they are coming towards you. Let me pause there for a moment while we cut to Hild. Hild, you follow the fox, yeah? And the fox takes you kind of just, because while this is largely flat, there's a slight kind of camber on the top of this hill fort. And the fox leads you just out of sight of the others, so that you've just gone over the ridge, if you will. And there are a cluster of great stones with what looks like a kind of opening between them. And that's when the wolves attack you. I'll be back to you in a moment.
There you go. Excellent.
Eadric, Hild, do you shout or anything? Do you say, oh shit, or anything?
Yeah. I'll say, over here, I found it.
So Hild is shouting from a little way away, Eadric. Do you go to Hild or you stay put?
Oh, it'll probably take me a while to get to her, which will mean I'm going to be by myself. So yes, I have to.
Eadric runs off through the woodland, chicken in hand. Gildas, how does the audience or Cennus know what's coming your way?
Because I can pretty well presume that Cennus can't see them.
Well, shall we have you roll with soul just to see? Because last time, Eadric did end up seeing them, didn't he?
That's true. Yeah. Okay. That's a 10.
Okay. So you see them, 10. You choose whether your gift continues to have an effect for a further action, has
Actually,
a broader
11.
effect than even you had hoped for, or leaves a foe in the scene with disadvantage. So if you choose has a broader effect, that could be that Cennus and the others, if you want, could see these things.
Yes, let's go with that.
Cennus, out of the kind of the shadows over there come these what looks like serried ranks, to be honest, of what you will recognize. You've seen them in an illuminated manuscript. They are the soldiers of the old emperors.
The Romans. Yes. As soon as you said the squares, I was like,
And they are, you know, kind of zoom, 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 clank, clank,
yes.
clank.
Prepare yourself, Cennus.
What? The Romans have long left these isles, the Empire.
But their shades remain.
But two of us may not defeat a century, Gildas.
While you're contemplating what to do, I'm going to cut to Hild. The fox led you to this place, and that is where the wolves come out from behind these rocks and begin to snarl and go to circle you, Hild. What do you do?
All right. Let's see what I have. I have thug. Use threats of violence to make someone do as you ask.
That's someone.
Well, I mean, okay. Well, I think of these things. Hild thinks of these creatures as conscious, and so, not saying I use the move. This is what she thinks she's doing, though. She looks at him and says, "I'm here on a mission from Woden. You know, the Christian God is upon us."
Well, we know it's not going to work, so they attack. So do you stay or do you go?
Oh, these are Christian wolves. Whoops. So you said there's kind of like this stone doorway thing, right?
There's a number of big stones, and they're kind of leaning together, and between one there's a kind of crack that you could enter. Yeah.
Okay.
But they are between you and it.
I see. Well, what I'm thinking is Hild is going to try to climb a tree, get on a stone. Can she get up?
Is she running from a? Dare I ask? Is she running from a threat?
Yeah. Running upwards.
Well, we'll see how that goes, shall we?
Oh, okay.
So when you run
yeah.
from a threat, remind us of someone or something you have run from before and may still be running from. This is an opportunity just for you to elucidate your backstory in any way you would like.
Yeah. I think Hild would steal going through someone's chimney. And so she would, when she was very young, she would steal food by climbing in someone's chimney, stealing it, and then climbing out. And so she's like, hey, this is, back when I was bullseyeing womp rats sort of thing.
Okay, let's have you roll with sense.
Oh, okay. I can do this. 9 + 2, Super Hild continues.
On 7+, you have bought some time to decide what to do next, but they are closing in. But on a 10+, choose one. You found a place where you have advantage to ambush them. You have found a place somewhere safe to hide until they give up, or all their allies. This one doesn't apply because you're the only person yet in that scene. Eadric's about to arrive on the scene, I think. So,
how many wolves are we talking about?
I think we're talking about a handful of wolves.
Yeah, like 4 or 5 kind of thing. Yeah, okay.
Enough to tear you apart.
Right. I think let's go for the first one. You found a place where you have advantage to ambush them.
So I think this might well be up a tree.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah. So they're not certain where you've gone, but you're up that tree. Eadric, you arrive on the scene just as you can see. I think you will see the wolves kind of sniffing the ground, trying to work out where someone, presumably Hild, has gone. What do you do?
I think I would like to utilize my custom move on my playbook, and I will give Woden a debt to look at this. And what I think it is Eadric is stunned, seeing the wolves. The chicken just starts scrambling, scratching at him to get out of his arms, runs away into a bush, and startles a family of rabbits out of it.
And so agree with the GM what it is and what you think it means. So you come across a family of rabbits. What do you think this indicates then?
I think it indicates that the wolves may want to go for easier prey than something up a tree.
Okay, so so all that requires now is for, I think that's what's going to happen. Do you just kind of just stay behind this tree and see what happens?
Yeah, he dives in after the chicken, like scaring off like the final straggling rabbit.
And that's where the rabbits burst out. And Hild, you will see the wolves kind of go, and then you'll see the rabbits, and they are going to chase the rabbits. That doesn't mean you can't ambush them, but it looks like they found easier prey.
Does she think are these wolves are sticking around these stones?
It looks like they're chasing those rabbits.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think Hild's under the impression that these wolves, after the rabbits, they'll come for her. So
Okay.
she has to take them down.
Fine. So
wait, she heard Gildas say that there were some tests, and it looks like her test is to kill a bunch of wolves.
Okay, let's see if you can do that. So I think I don't think this is confront a foe with violence, because I think, frankly, they can't do you any harm. There's no way. This is a complete surprise to them. So I think this is probably face danger with sense to time the attack, or steal for the power of the attack.
We'll do sense, and I guess I have advantage.
You do. And if this goes well, you will lay about. I mean, are you throwing the axe at them, or are you going to jump down and just take them by surprise?
Jump down, take them by surprise.
Go for it. If this goes well, they will run off with their tail between their legs after those rabbits.
8 + 2, 10.
I think that's what we call in the trade. That went quite well.
Yes.
So on a 10, that goes perfectly. You do it. You land between them, and they're completely confused. And what do we see that illustrates that 10 plus?
Yeah. So she has, what is it, a corgle or whatever? A cooge?
I think it's an axe. Didn't you have an axe?
Well, she has throwing axe and a cooge, or cuddle. She has two things, right?
Cudgel.
And the cudgel is like the curved knife, right? Dagger,
no, it's a big club.
Oh, a big club? Well, that's not as cool, but all right. Yeah, she has 2 axes in her hands. That looks cooler. So she falls.
She's got a big knife and an axe.
Okay, yeah. She falls down. Yeah, she jumps down, and we'll say she chops an ear off one of them, like just to tell them this is who you're messing with. If she feels they're gonna run away, she chops an ear off, and she hamstrings another one. So she essentially totally takes their athletic prowess away from them.
Fine. And the remaining 3 will decide that those rabbits that Eadric scared out the undergrowth have a much less dangerous option than you are, and they take off across the top of this hill fort and disappear down the other side. Meanwhile, Cennus and Gildas.
Cennus, you say that, and I think you see this like my normally very pale skin flushing red, kind of matching my fiery hair. And even in death, they will not leave us be. We must send them on their way. We must put them to rest. And I am frothing in wrath. I am going to exert my mortal will.
And mark wrath. Okay, you give into wrath.
Yeah, as I look to be leaping into battle.
Are you using your magical attack here, or are you going with your bronze spear, I think?
I think I'm going with my magical attack if I could go ahead and get one in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's there to be used.
Well, I just meant I didn't know I could get it. I didn't know if I could get an attack in. So yes, I will. Leaping forward and kind of spinning my spear around so that it kind of is sweeping as though it's trying to like push the gladiuses aside so I can get in close. And Gildas, Cennus, you see that as the spear goes to one hand, this light, greenish light surrounds Gildas's hand as he strikes one of these shields with it.
Now, what I do need to know is we know what it looks like, and it says pick an extra characteristic that will apply every time you use it. So do you want the +1 harm, the ignore armor, the add a close or far range, or add, so take your pick.
I'm taking ignore armor.
Fine. In this case, what I think I will do is to judge that because they are technically spirits, that they are protected by their spiritual nature, but I think that this will render them prone to harm by you. Okay? So confront a foe.
Confronting a foe
strikes me as violence.
Yes, and because I'm wrathful, I'm getting a +1.
Exactly.
And that goes off of steel, correct?
Yep.
So it's a dead even roll. That's a 9.
I'd like to try and help out.
How do you help, Cennus?
I rush in behind him, a warrior outside, and I will either take. Well, let's see how the roll goes. I either take the blow or I try and block it with my shield or whatever, right?
Oh, so you're not using the help move. You're using.
No, I am using the help. I guess.
Okay,
I just it depends on what the roll is.
I'm sorry. I understand.
Yeah.
So roll plus steel for a physical intervention.
That is a 11.
11 on 7+. Gildas gets to add 1 because what the effect of his sight has done is to render them more corporeal to both of you than they really ought to be. Or maybe he's moved the pair of you slightly into the other world. Not entirely certain, but it's working. So add 1 to the roll, and they owe you a debt.
Nice.
Yeah, so Gildas owes Cennus a debt. So okay. Gildas, that moves you to 10. So inflict harm is established, and they have an option. Yes, they do have an option. I think that they will. I think that they will force you where you suffer disadvantage next time round. I think that they force you into the other world.
Okay.
And that will apply to both of you because you're both getting the benefits at the minute. Yeah. Okay. Of that gift. So so you'll be at disadvantage next time, but currently then on a 10+, you also choose 1 from that list.
Okay. I'm going to pick. I think this one should just be very impressive. So I think I'm going to do the +1 harm.
Okay. And this glowing hand, this force that strikes them, 2 of them instantly disappear. Yeah. Torn apart into these kind of mystical shreds. Let me go back to Eadric and Hild. So Hild, Eadric, sorry, you see Hild leap down from a tree among these distracted wolves and set about her. And the remaining wolves have run off into the distance. And the pair of you now you can just see over there, 10, 20 paces away, this pile of rocks with this crack between them. What do you do, Eadric?
You actually did find it. I thought you were
Hey!
just a crying wolf.
Ah, I see what you did there. I see what you did. Hey, nice job on the rabbits.
What? Oh, yeah, of course.
Nice job on the rabbits, my fellow Saxon.
What are you going to do, the pair of you?
Yeah, I think Eadric picks his chicken up and starts looking, looks at the door. Should we know where it is. Do you think the others will pass their tests and join us?
I don't know. Should they, I just yell, "Hey guys, over here!" They could probably find us, right?
Well, Eadric did when you shouted before.
Yeah, so that works. I think they'll follow along.
You are entirely amazingly optimistic. Let's go. We found something in the Fae realms. We might as well see what we found.
Is this something that you are offering to go ahead and do something, Eadric, or are you saying, come, let the pair of us go into these rocks?
I think I want to. Last time I went first, I may have almost died. I would like to call in a debt on Hild to make her go first if I can.
Okay. Hild, are you prepared to go first?
Sure.
Okay, then cancel a debt that you owe Eadric. Eadric, use up a debt. So Hild, so you look at one. You look at one another.
This would increase.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, but that's fine. Same thing.
Yeah.
Hill takes the chicken and throws it through the door. No.
So we see you kind of looking at one another. There's a kind of unspoken decision, and Hill says, "Okay," and sets off towards this. Meanwhile, Gildas. Let me go to Cennus first this time. Cennus, what are you doing? They have the appearance of corporeality, but that's partly because of where you are.
Oh yes, well, I mean, drawn, sucked into the other world, into the same plane of existence by Gildas's Fae magic. I trust to the one thing that remains, solid and corporeal and familiar here, which is my spear and my strong right hand.
Which one?
Well, now that we're in the mystical world and we're on the same plane, you know what? Part of me is like, the normal spear could be better here, but also part of me is like, people die when you stab them with bronze as well as with steel. So, what can it hurt to go with the bronze?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, are you going to confront the foe, presumably?
Yes. I will.
Then let's have you do that.
That is an 8.
8. So, 2 harm for a spear, isn't it?
Yes.
How do we see you dispatch 2 of them?
I think that one of them, this shield wall is now crumbled as Gildas has destroyed it, and one of them stumbles backwards, the smoke, and my spear reaches around Gildas and hooks it straight through the throat, and it dissipates. And then I step forward and, pull back the spear and stab another one in the stomach, and it dissipates into smoke, and then presumably another one is about to.
Well, let's see, because I'm going to hold my my 7+ response, if I may, to just find out what Gildas is going to do.
I am in a fury, so I am laying about me.
Let's have you confront a foe as well, then, and then I'll determine what they do at the end of this.
Okie dokie. Still rolling even up. Oof, that's a 3, but I am going to bring in my reputation.
Because this is the kind of thing no Fae Changeling is prepared to back down from, are they?
Correct.
So owe your lord a debt.
There's that debt I got rid of coming back immediately. And I think that we see as Cennus has, struck these two, and I'm like almost in this blood fury that I'm being very reckless. And it looks as though in that moment that I have just completely lost myself, Cennus sees as I'm there. And then in this, again, language probably you don't recognize, I call upon something, and you see that greenish glow around my hands travel down my spear so that I thwomp with the butt of it.
And so you will inflict harm as established. That's 2 more harm.
It'll just be 1 because I didn't get the extra harm.
Fine. And I think that I will have you wrong-footed, and they will flee. And I think in the fiction, what we will see is that they back away from both these displays of outright fury, and it's almost as though they back away, the other world retreats, leaving you back in the woodland, where Gildas is still frothing at the mouth, looking for targets, I think. Cennus. Gildas is kind of just in battle rage. What do you want to do at this point?
Where are our friends? Where is Eadric?
Nowhere to be seen.
I stride off in search of him.
In the direction, back the way you came or ahead?
Where I heard Hild's bleating before.
That's right. You did hear Hild's bleating, didn't you? Hild.
Battle cry, but yeah, close enough.
Hild, we left you striding towards this pile of rocks, this not quite a cave mouth, but more a gap between these stones. And you just march in. Yeah.
Yep.
Eadric, you should have been able to see at least some of her, because the way that the light is falling on these stones, even though we've got this heavy overcast, you can see some ground illuminated inside this space. But almost as soon as she walked across the threshold, Hild is just swallowed in the shadows. What do you do?
Here we go again. Steps forward.
And I think for the sake of narrative requirements, Cennus, you and the raving Gildas will appear on the scene just in time to see Eadric disappear into that shadowy cave. What do you do?
I mean, I think the one with the temper at the moment probably acts first, right?
Gildas, what do you do?
They have gone into the heart of this. We must follow.
Yeah.
And Gildas is gone.
Yeah, I follow, of course.
Followed by Cennus.
Yeah.
Yes. Hild, there's a strange chill. It's cold. I mean, it's winter, so it's cold out there, but there's a kind of bone-chilling cold in here. And if you look over your shoulder, all you can see is shadow. Until Eadric steps out of that shadow. But it's, you appear to be in some kind of tunnel. You can feel the walls either side of you, but there's no light ahead of you at all, and none coming from behind. What do you do?
She says, Eadric, we're not in Britannia anymore. and she keeps walking.
Keeping a hand on the wall just to. And Eadric, what, you put a hand on her shoulder just so you don't lose track?
I will put a hand on the shoulder, and I think have my hand on her shoulder and close my eyes, like literally falling behind her, trying to hear echoes and like trying to daredevil my way through. Like, is there like are there going to be tunnels to the side? What are we doing? So I want to look about me.
Let's have you look about you then. Roll plus sense.
Okay, let's not pick the die that turned into a 1 last time. Not that helped. That is a 6.
So mark XP. Congratulations. Just as well that you had your hand on her shoulder. But quite where Hild is going is unclear. She's just marching on, convinced of that Woden will guide her footsteps. And so you have made a little progress by the time a wrathful Gildas enters the shadows, quickly followed by Cennus. It's bone-chillingly cold and very quiet in here, Gildas. You're in front. What do you do?
I will kind of drop to point, like on guard, as Cennus comes through. We are no longer in the realm of mortal.
I am with you, Gildas.
We must find our friends before something else does.
Yes, I fear what trouble Eadric may be in if Hild is leading the way here.
Hild, you're just marching on. You can feel this hand on your shoulder, and it's getting colder. Does that deter you, or does it just drive you on, Hild?
Yeah, she's on a mission from God, so she goes forward.
Eadric, I've got that kind of 6 on my shelf. I'm just going to keep that for a moment. You are presumably going to try to follow Hild, yeah?
Correct.
So what do you do when the chicken flutters out of your grip?
Oh no, you monster. I grab Hild. I try to grab Hild and stop her from moving. We have to stop. My chicken.
We're in we're in the space between realms. We have gods among us. You know, your chicken is fine. We can't help your chicken.
So you get all the ravens you want, and I can't keep one chicken. You are selfish.
Hey, that chicken. If that chicken was your friend, he'd be holding on to you like you're holding on to me.
She might have found something. We are going after the chicken, and I let go of Hild.
Oh, yes. So Hild, the grip is lost from your shoulders, and it's gone suddenly a lot quieter than it was. You could hear Eadric behind you.
Yeah, so I don't hear the chicken. I don't hear anything.
No. So what do you do?
So I sense Hild just feels like Eadric is gone, right? Like she's like, this must be how those old gods do things. So, Woden at least talks to you. These guys do all sorts of weirdness, and so she just keeps going.
Hand on the wall, keep going.
Not even a hand on the wall. She's got her 2 things, her 2 weapons. Yeah.
Just marching into the darkness.
Yeah.
Wow. I'll come back to you, Eadric, in a moment. Gildas, you're feeling wrathful. Are you going carefully, or are you just again marching into with your spear?
Is it pitch black in here?
It's pitch black in here.
And I don't suppose Yeah, and I don't suppose my magic would give any light. We probably don't have a torch with us. And even Wrathful, I think, stumbling straight forward into complete pitch blackness is not a good idea.
I mean, you know, I don't want to keep referring back to it, but there is sometimes show you things that cannot be seen.
Yeah, I think it's sort of necessary. Boy,
I mean,
but
I put a hand on Gildas' shoulder and say, "It is dark, Gildas, but the Lord will lead us into the light if we put our faith in Him."
Okay, I think I'm going to, because that's sort of, I think that probably more pisses me off than really helping. And so I'm gonna give a debt to my lord, another one, which is way higher than I normally like to let him get. As I pull up
Here is my pocket, Gildas. Do get into it.
Yeah, as I pull up the sight to see if I could pierce the darkness.
And you do. You do. There's a very clear path ahead of you. But let's see if it takes you to the right place by having you roll to activate your gift. So
Right.
you've gone into debt and then use your gift. Roll plus soul, which is, you know, where you are at.
It is my good one, and I'm very lucky because that's a 7.
Altogether.
Yeah, I rolled a 4.
Gee whiz. You succeed. On 7 to 9, the GM chooses one from you attract unwelcome attention. Your gift has a broader effect than you had desired. Your gift takes more from you than you had expected. I think it's that one. Choose disadvantage or mark wounded.
And is that an ongoing or
Disadvantage, it's one use. The next time you roll, you will be at disadvantage.
I think it'll be the disadvantage because I'm
Okay.
pulling on Faenus in the Fae realm. It's the sort of thing that will get that. But if I may, I would kind of like to trigger. I'm trying to trigger Seek Solace in Friendship because after what Cennus said there, I'm going to kind of take his hand and put it to my elbow. This darkness is one which my people can see through, follow, and I will not lead you astray. We fought above the forces of Rome, the forces that is the home of your God. They came to our land, they marched across our people, they killed those who had once held the old knowledge, rooted them root and branch from the land.
I think that counts as sharing your woes with someone. Roll plus the debts that Cennus owes you.
Okay.
You 2.
Oh, me too. Come on, die roller, be good to me. Oh, fudge. Well, that did not go well.
Cennus is patient with you, for which you owe them a debt, but you have not found value in their counsel. Do not clear the temptation.
Mm-hmm.
How does that look, Cennus?
I think that as you speak, and I say, the Christian faith comes from the Romans, but its followers too were put before the sword. The Rome that you speak of is the Rome of the wolves, of the old gods, of the old ways, bloodthirsty and capricious, like the Fae.
I think that's good enough. I think, shall we take our final 5 minutes now? And back in our seats at 10 past the hour? Okay, I'll pause. Okay, so we're back from our break. And we have Hild separated from Eadric, separated from his chicken. And we have Gildas and Cennus not really finding some much common theological ground. So Eadric, how are you going to find the chicken in the dark?
You did have to make an actual point of this instead of just narrative convenience, but I guess I've just got to search and hopefully listen for the telltale clucks of a chicken.
Does that sound like face danger with sense to work out where it is?
It could. I could also, I don't want to have to retry the role that I failed to get here, but I mean, I am alone. I could fear something.
Oh, you could. Of course you could. I'd forgotten about your signature move. Yes. When you were alone, remind us of your safe and simple life before you received your gift. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think there's just this time when he was outside, he was out at the barn at night during a storm, the lantern goes out. I mean, it's a storm at night. What's the worst that can happen? And compared to here, what is the worst that could happen?
Great, great. Describe what you are currently frightened will happen.
I'm frightened that whatever was in the forest or whatever its version is here will find me again.
And roll to look about you. But on a 6-, you can still ask one question, though that which you fear appears in the scene.
Yeah, let's try this. Oh, skirting the edge. That is a 7.
So you get to ask me a question, which is, I guess, where's the chicken?
No.
Oh.
I am going to surprise you all. I think that, where is the ex-wife?
Okay. Well, look, do you want to use that bit of the move that says, or agree with the GM a detail to add to the scene that enriches the fiction?
Like maybe that during this search he stumbles into her chambers.
In the presence of the chicken.
Oh, everything worked out.
Okay, I'll come to describe her in a moment. Hild, still marching on, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And as I said before, it's getting colder and colder and colder. Nothing deters you.
No, I think she kind of starts talking to Woden, and what she says is, she says, I was confused, and Cennus confused me. When you said to make things right, it wasn't about the woman who unfortunately died. It's about the man that wanted her dead.
Right. Okay. Hang on, I'm just going to do this. Let me just do that for Eadric. That was silly of me. Hang on. Yeah. I think you can probably just overwrite the pick one. Or maybe you can't. Anyway, we know what it is. There we are. It's surprise. Okay. And the wall that has been, you felt the proximity of the walls on either side of you, and suddenly it opens out into space. Yeah. Gildas, you and Cennus walking on in a strained silence, I would suggest. You're not worried about the wall either. You're just marching forward. Cennus, are you trying to pay any attention to where, what's around you, or are you just settling for darkness?
Oh, I'm listening, careful. listening for the others, arm on Gildas's shoulder, trusting to him to lead me through.
Fine. And I think, Eadric, you emerge, and before you is this. I mean, she has a skin that is so blue, it's almost icy, and waves of cold are coming off her. And she's dressed in a very light shift, so she clearly feels none of this cold. And around her head is a coronet shaped of icicles. And she looks at you and she looks at the chicken and says, "Well, mortal, you seem to have found your way. What do you say? What do you do?"
I see why they want revenge. You outclass them in every regard.
She laughs. "I like you, mortal. Why have you come to me then?"
We have come to offer bargains, but what we offer it seems to be on the scale of time that you Fae always find challenging, the waiting game. I believe I may be able to offer you something that would not take nearly as much time.
When you say we,
I have come with several companions, though they are not as gifted with empathy towards the wildlife as I.
no, they are stumbling about. But then she lightly taps her toe on the ground. And Cennus, Hild, and Gildas, it is as though someone has just turned the lights on. And you're in this large space. How large, you're uncertain, because it just disappears into shadows. She's the only source of light. She's giving off this blue glow.
I pat Gildas, I slap Gildas on the shoulder and say, "Well led, Gildas, well led."
I have to say, I thought he was going to say, "You see, God got it right."
Oh, damn it.
Hild. Just, click. And there you are. It's like you were just standing next to one another. And she looks at you all and says, this one, pointing at Eadric, says that you want something, but you have something I might want. Have I understood that right, mortal? She says, talking to Eadric.
He nods and motions towards Gildas in his ragey roguish form.
How are you feeling at the minute? Because I've noticed both lust and wrath are active.
Oh yeah, lust is always active. And I will smile, and I don't suppose my residual bits of the sight show me anything as we walked in.
No, I think you are sufficiently deep in her realm now to be seeing what there is to be seen.
Okay. My lady, we have come because a servant faithful to you has been wronged, and we would ask that you release her so she may go on to her destiny.
And she kind of looks absent-mindedly. So who else are you talking about? Oh, her. Yes, she failed me. I sent her to do something, and she failed miserably to deliver what I asked of her.
She was murdered, my lady.
Well, it could go either way.
The look that Cennus gives Hild at that is just like withering.
And So, death. Yes, death is one of those tricky things for you, isn't it? She looks at the other three rather than at Gildas.
Yes.
And I
What good
have
does
to
it?
say, they'll go on.
What good does it do you to? She can never repay her debt in death. Why hold it still?
Well, because it's a debt, mortal. It is the nature of debts that they are held. They don't go away. In many ways, they are all that there is.
And her soul is but another piece in your pocket.
Her debt is mine.
But what if the debt was to fall upon the one that murdered her?
Well, that's exactly what Hild was going to say. She steps up and she's like, I will take that debt.
You would take the debt she owes me. Is that, do I understand that correctly?
I am on a mission from Woden. I will take whatever debts need to be taken.
Oh, Woden. Ah, that child. But this does interest me. You are potentially more useful than is Quenthrith, who with the best will in the world, as you say, is not really able to do very much.
I mean, she wasn't good at being around cliffs, okay?
You murdered her, Hild.
Well, I mean, that has yet to be proven in any sort of future laws that might be constructed, you know.
I lived her death.
Murder.
I was a confused and selfish person, and a bad man took advantage of that. And in my flailing and fraught nature, that poor woman died.
Well, I think I am very interested in this idea of taking debts from you. I suppose the question is, how much is the rest that this woman might be granted worth? You, Christian, how much is the rest of this Quenthrith worth to you? She was hardly a Christian. Surely she's beneath your notice.
Even things such as you are not beneath my God's notice.
Oh, I'm very touched. And you are but a commoner, she looks at Eadric. You have nothing in the mortal world, and yet you're so keen to help this woman?
I have only myself and my reputation. If it can be of any use, I will put it to that.
Now, that leaves you, Gildas. And don't think I don't know who took the Moonstone in the first place.
Indeed. I was unaware that it was already your possession.
Yes, don't give me that angry look, Gildas. Nothing is going to change the fact that you stole from me.
Nothing will change that fact, lady.
I will come to an arrangement with you. I will free this Quenthrith from her debt. But in return, it seems to me that the Christian is prepared to do anything to put anything to rest. His
Including
God.
Fae lords and ladies.
Another day, mortal, another day. This, and she looks at Hild as though she's looking into Hild's soul. And she says, this thief who took her life by accident or not, Does it matter? You too I would weigh against that debt. And already the commoner has said that they would do what was necessary. Gildas, you owe me a debt for stealing from me. Commoner, thief, Christian, I would take a debt from you, and I would release Quenthrith. Is that not a reasonable thing to do? What do you say, Cennus?
Someone's going to have to call a debt in on me for that to happen.
Okay. Hild, what about you?
Now, wait a second here. You have one debt over here, and you want 4 other ones? I mean, I see how you Fae get around, right? I mean, I've been around Gildas enough to know how you all work.
I did say that I was curious how much the rest of Quenthrith was worth. Shall we say I'm testing you mortals? Eadric?
You want to know what it is worth to us when you will not tell us what it is worth to you. You have a dead servant that can do nothing, and a very talented murderess offering you her a deal. I believe that
the term's outlaw, but that's okay.
I believe I can offer myself, but I will offer my body, and I think I can get my Christian friend to put soul on the line. I'm going to call in a debt.
So, Cennus,
Yes.
you raise a debt
I
of
can
honor
feel
when
it.
your debt is called in by its holder and you agree to one of the following. And I think this is do something else specific that the GM agrees is appropriate to the fiction.
Mm-hmm.
But you will gain advantage out the end of it.
So I called in by its owner and agreed to one of the following. Pass a debt on to someone else. Yeah, okay. I trust Eadric, and I must be my brother's shepherd. I must, walk with my flock. I must help them in their times of need, and therefore I will.
So, if I've understood this correctly, Eadric calls in a debt from Cennus. So Cennus erases a debt that he owes Eadric. But the deal is that Cennus then will give the lady a debt. Will owe the lady a debt. Okay, that we're all on the same page, aren't we? Yeah. So if you just mark her down as the Fae Lady and mark yourself as owing a debt, Cennus, and miraculously before her appear a set of balances. And currently, you can see a tiny image of Quenthrith down there. And then you see a tiny image of Cennus in the other, and it just settles slightly. Now, commoner, you are generous with other people. How generous are you yourself?
Sorry, I knew I was muted and I couldn't get to the tab in time. He goes over to the scale and places the chicken on it.
Oh, you give me a token of your debt.
I give you the a whatever you wish to call it, but yes.
So mark yourself, Eadric, as owing the Fae Lady a debt. And as long as you do, as long as that works well, your chicken is safe. She has taken hostages. Hild.
Can I look over at Hild and Hild? Already, your comrades pay for your crime.
Well, that has not been proven.
You asked, how do you find redemption? It has been laid before you. And I'll call in a debt.
Do you accept that Gildas is going to call in that debt? Do you want to refuse to honor it?
So what happens if I refuse?
When you refuse to honor a debt held by a character or a group, give your reason for refusal and roll plus subtle minus the debt owed.
Yeah, I think Hild did have an idea that with everyone throwing their souls around that she might be able to get out of this, but Gildas is party pooper. So
Screwing that.
yeah, she grudgingly does the debt. And she's pretty much like these like friggin' Fae. You know what I mean? Fae. That's all we are walking debts to them.
And so the balance gradually settles towards balance. And then finally she looks at Gildas and says, Gildas, you stole from me. You know that cannot be ignored.
I understand. And you know my master as well.
And there is a slight kind of, the blue pales and the temperature in the place drops even lower.
And I cannot imagine that you hate him much more than I do.
At which point her eyebrow rises and she says, well, Gildas, let us make good use of the debt you will owe me. You owe the Fae Lady a debt. And the balance settles. And there are 3, 4 tiny effigies of you here, and there's Quenthrith there. And she says, and so Quenthrith is released. Now, let us talk of what I want you to do. And that, I think, is a good place to pause. If we could have a quick round of stars and wishes, I always find it helpful to have a picture of what you want to happen next time.
Should we do end of session?
Oh, end of session. Thank you for the reminder. Let's go. We'll stick with reverse. So let's start with Gildas. Gildas did indeed invoke their reputation. So that converts into experience.
And I leveled.
You did. I mean, you collectively, you have rolled some crap dice tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Did you put yourself at risk to indulge your burden?
I don't think so.
No. Did you address a challenge with deception?
I was going to try to somewhere with her, but there was no point unless you consider turning on my lord for this lady a deception.
I think that might be next time, not this time.
Cool.
Because you haven't turned yet.
True.
Okay, so you can clear that and you will get an improvement by next time. Moving along, Cennus, you didn't invoke your reputation, but did you put yourself at risk to protect the innocent or address a challenge with courage?
I address the challenge with courage.
Yeah, I think stepping up to in the other world to confront some ghostly legionaries counts, among other things.
When I hit things, that's courage. Yeah.
Yeah, particularly when you don't know it's going to work. So give yourself one. Gosh, have you leveled again? Jeez.
Yeah, now I'm on my second advancement for the series.
Hild, have you not gained any experience this turn? Have you rolled dice like a god?
Yeah, I was just, she's super Hild now.
Yeah, you've been on fire.
Yeah.
So you didn't invoke your reputation.
No.
Did you put yourself at risk to cheat or steal, or address a challenge with guile?
I don't think so.
Oh yes, you did.
Well, which one?
You ambushed some wolves.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What is that, guile?
That's guile, I think, isn't it?
Okay.
So
yeah, I'm fine with that. Yeah, I was kind of, because I've been playing her. Not, I think I usually think of guile as like talky.
Right.
But
Now,
I think
think as broad as you like. And finally, Eadric, you didn't invoke your commoner reputation, but but I think you did put yourself at risk by confronting your betters. I think a Fae Lady probably is your betters, and even one of her servants you kind of put yourself on the line for. So I have no problem with giving you one for that. Yeah?
Okay. Yeah.
So that means that all of you have an advance, apart from poor old Hild, who's rolled the dice too well. And think about that between now and then, and we'll make the changes between now and then. Now, stars and wishes. Let me go back and stick with the order I started with. Tyler, any stars?
I thought this was a really cool adventure. I thought all the things, it was very atmospheric, lots of cool, interesting challenges to it. I'm a big star to having Hild back with us. Super happy to have you back. And I thought it was, I really kind of liked the sneaking off and then the sneaking on off further. That seemed a very Hild thing to do. And then getting caught up in trouble, the fight bit, it was neat to see Hild go in and really mix it up. That was fun as well. Sorry, Eadric's bravery is always so cool to see, and it was just on display over and over and over tonight, and that was really nice. I also like Chicken as a hostage. I think that's super cool. So just, tons of fun always to watch you play. Well, I liked our business together tonight. I thought it was really good seeing the things we did together all the way through this, seeing us as kind of the more martial of the characters in a big fight with the legions, I thought was fun. I think the tension between us is interesting. It was good for us to have the talks we had. So I thank you for really excellent play back and forth.
Yeah, can I just add one on that particularly, because I think that in previous wishes, it becomes clearer why Gildas and Cennus stay together. I think they stay together for the arguments. I think that's what keeps them together. This isn't about friendship. This is friendship, but it's prickly friendship. Moving along, Will, any stars? I'll come back for wishes, Tyler.
Yeah. Well, I mean, likewise, I really enjoyed that this session again, and it was nice to have that comradely kind of dynamic, and also Cennus being able to be smug and pious, and unintentionally needling the already enraged Gildas, because I was all ready to just owe debts to God until I got a good enough success on Look About Me to find anything. But I love that pushed Gildas into owing a debt to his gods, because God damn it, I'm not allowing the Christian God to dip me out of this. And yeah, Eadric, sort of bumbling around usefully is the perfect use of the commoner, and it was done really well. And Hild, the sheer self-denial I love it, and just always just making everything just like so chaotic and kind of like haphazard, and the poor me victim narrative that runs throughout all of it. I do love that, because it's like all of us going like trying to help you, and then you're like, but really, do I want to? Let's be honest, isn't it really, aren't I the victim here in all of this?
Yeah.
It's a great character arc.
Yeah, I would go with that. And yeah, just to pick out of that, I think the way, Sawyer, that you engineered a chance to use nearly all your moves, I think, you still have surprise in your back pocket, but yeah, there was plenty of looking about you. Oh, look at this. Look at this, it's the Queen of the Fae. Great. Moving on. What about you, Greg? Any stars?
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I kind of picture Eadric as like eventually going back to his farmer days, and maybe occasionally saying some crazy stuff that he did, and everyone's like, "What?" Um, I like Cennus as the only Christian in a group that seems to be more and more vocal about, you know, and so I kind of see that as this is, Cennus's time in the desert or whatever, you know, oh, this is his trial by fire for his God. And then, yeah, Gildas, yeah, as this, changeling that's playing 4D chess or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think, we might all be fools for walking around with a changeling. So, yeah, and I think it was, yeah, and so I kind of like where, Hild's like kind of maybe, her new understanding of Odin or Woden. You know what I mean? I think is kind of interesting. So we'll see.
Yeah, no,
See where
she's
it
been
goes.
on a journey, no question. And yes, so yes, I would endorse that just as a star back to you is that the way that this kind of perception of Woden from this kind of vague thing to now a really solid person in your life, I think is great. Finally, Sawyer, any stars?
Yeah, Cennus, thank you for slowly being whittled away by my gods and not noticing that I've made you give a debt to a supernatural creature instead of slay it for your god. I think I'm bringing you towards the pagan path without proselytization. So we'll be the best of friends one of these days. Hild, you are amazingly slippery and just. I love the entire YouTube apology thing of like we need you to commit restitution. You say that, but for what? I've not done it. Like I've maybe not done anything wrong. We haven't even like I'll commit restitution, whatever that is, when we find out what I've done wrong. And seeing Gildas just lose control and start. I love like the dichotomy of just like right under the surface is this boiling rage beast of a fae that it like really feels the monstrous part, like the Silent Hill thing of you do want to talk to them because they're the only thing there, but they're terrifying.
No, yes, I'd go with all of that. I think that the way you're all leaning into your relationships with your gods, in the case particularly of Cennus, Hild, and Gildas, and then Eadric kind of as the common man, just observing what's going on here, is delightful. It's delightful. Okay, let me go back round for wishes. Tyler, next time is our finale. Is there something you want to see in your finale?
I do want to say I agree with that. Watching Hild have this personal relationship with Woden has been really interesting. That's just really very cool. But for wishes, I'd kind of like a showdown with my master. That seems pretty cool. I did pick up the ability to do what you want for supernatural creatures as my advance. But don't know how well that'll work on him. But other wishes, I would really kind of like to see a neat bonding of us all, like us as a united front. And that's kind of a wish for, situation, but it's kind of a wish I'm throwing out to the party. I would love to see one of those moments of why villages would go, holy crap, they're the heroes. They're, seeing that us being awesome as a group is kind of a wish.
Fine. Let me see if we can deliver something sufficiently challenging to make you all feel even more awesome than you were today. Okay, Will, wishes?
I suppose ultimately part of me would like to see Hild, accept some responsibility for this at the end of it.
I have to tell you, I'm not sure that's in my gift.
No. And I'd second Tyler's one. But I guess I'd kind of like to be back amongst the settlement for the finale, to ground it in like what we're doing, because we've done some nice wandering around the outskirts and locations. They've all felt like places, and I'd like to go back to the core of it. And I suppose as part of that, like it does hang over me since the very start that Bardawulf killed his wife, which is a crime against all gods. The Fae perhaps are the ones who would not care one way or the other, but everybody else would be. And I feel as though there's some tension there I'd like to resolve by, confront that crime. Not just Hild's crime, but his crime.
Yeah, because so far he's kind of getting away scot-free, isn't he?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll be perfectly honest with you. If we got to the last session without it ever coming up, I was just going to be like, and you killed your wife. And just,
Say no more. Okay, Greg, wishes? Oh, you are muted.
Everything people have been saying really speaks to me, right? Seeing us come together as a team, that sounds awesome. I think one thing that's always in the back of my mind is I have this debt with, I saved Cennus's life. And so, I don't know. I kind of want to put the screws to him a little bit. Not in a bad way, but somehow,
this entire campaign, this entire series is us making up for your mistakes.
Yeah. So I guess in short, no wishes. I like where everything is going and the ideas that people have espoused. So.
Okay, and finally, Sawyer, any wishes?
Yeah, I'm already feeling a bit like a manipulator with as a commoner, but I want to be able to use surprise. Maybe on Bardawulf, we'll see.
Yeah. It would be good to see everyone use each one of their moves at least once in the session, in the series. So yeah, we'll see what we do about that. My wishes, I don't have many wishes, to be honest. I think you've been really leaning into this. I mean, today we saw mortal free will being asserted. We saw reputation being asserted. We saw temptations being taken, seeking solace in friendship, not always very successfully, but it's the thought that counts. What I would just point you at is in the debts tab, there is a move called Your Gods Provide. When you once per session erase a debt you are owed by a mortal, inverted commas, and instead owe your gods a debt, agree with the GM how the debtor arrives in the scene. The GM says what happens, but will ask you advice on how the debtor is trying to repay. So if you have got some debts with NPCs that are just sitting there, there is a way to mechanize those, okay? Conceivably to generate more chaos, I don't know, but just I wanted to point you with that. And that's my wish, to just see you kind of just stress test the system the way you've been doing and really leaning into genre. So thank you very much. I'm going to stop the recording now. So wave bye-bye to the internet.